In this video, I will explain about nested if statement by using an example. Check which number is greater using nested if. So here I am going to check which among the three numbers is greater using nested if statement. So first of all, I am going to take three variables a, b and c, and I am going to assign the values for a as float, input, enter one number. So here float is a function that is used to represent floating point numbers. So we should be entering only numbers with decimal values. We can also enter numbers that are integers. It will be automatically converted to floating point numbers. But we should not be entering any characters or any other numbers or any other characters that is other than floating point number or integer. Else it will display it as an error. And I am going to give values to b, this float, input, enter the second number, and c, float, input, enter the third number. So here I'm going to give the conditions. So first of all, using the if statement, and the condition is a greater than c. So if the number for we have assigned for a is greater than c, then it will goes to the body of this if statement. And here I have given another if statement. That means this if statement comes under this if statement. So this if statement is a nested if statement of this if statement. So here the condition of this nested if statement is a greater than b. That means if a is greater than c, then it checks whether a is greater than b also. If a is greater than b and if a is greater than c and b, then it displays this body. It prints this part. Print a is greater. And if a is greater than c but a is not greater than b, then it goes to the else part and prints the body of the else part, that is b is greater. So here a is greater than c but a is not greater than b, so it prints b is greater by going to the else part of the nested if statement. And this is not the else part of if statement, this is the else part of nested if statement. So here I have given the indentation to separate out the nested if statement from this if statement, and this else part is also separated from this if statement. So this is the else part of a nested if statement. So if the condition a greater than c is not true, then it goes to the else part of if statement. Here it checks if c is greater than a and c is greater than b. So here it will check whether the number we have given to c is greater than a and also if it is greater than b. Then it will print c is greater. If c is not greater than a and c is not greater than b, then it will goes to the else part. It will print b is greater. So let's check with the outputs. I'm going to click on to shift plus enter, or you can use the run button to check the outputs. So here we need to enter the first number, that is I'm going to enter 2. Now we need to enter the second number, going to enter 4. I'm going to click on the enter to enter the third number. Here I entered 6. Now the A is 2, B is 4 and C is 6. It has displayed 6 is greater. That means it has checked if A is greater than C. That is 2A is greater than 6, it's false. So it goes to the else part. And here in the else part it checks that C is greater than A. Yes, 6 is greater than 2 and 6 is greater than 4. So 6 is greater. Now let's check another example. I'm going to click on the shift plus enter. Here I am going to assign value of A as 6. Now value of A is greater. Now I'm going to click enter. Now I'm going to give a value of b as 4. Now I'm going to click enter and I'm going to assign value to c as 2. Now 6 is greater. Yes. Here the a is greater than c. That condition is true. 6 is greater than 2. Now it again checks if a is greater than b. That means 6 is greater than 4. That condition is true. Now print a is greater. 6 is greater. That is true. Now I am going to click on check another example using shift plus enter. Yes. Enter one number. So here I am going to give the value as of a as 4 and value of b as 9 and the c as 3. Now 9 is greater. So here it checks if a is greater than c. That means 4 is greater than 3. Yes, that condition is true. But it needs to check another condition as well. That is b is greater than c. So it goes to the if statement. If a is greater than b, no, a is not greater than b. So here first it checks a greater than c. That is true. 4 is greater than 3. Then it goes to that statement is that condition is true. So it goes to the nested if statement and it checks the condition of nested if and it checks whether 4 is greater than b or 4 is greater than 9. That is false. So it goes to the else part. Here 4, so it displays to the body of else part. That is this. B is greater or 9 is greater. That is true. So this is all about nested if statement. The nested if statement, that is the if statements inside the if statements, that is called nested if statements. So the nested if statements are the if statements that is inside the if statements. Any number of these statements can be nested inside one another. That means you can give another if statement inside this nested if statement and go on forever. And the indentation is the only way to figure out the level of nesting. So here I give an indentation, the space, to tell that this is an if statement, nested if statement. And similarly, I gave an indentation here to tell that this is an nested if statement. So they can get confusing, so you need to avoid it unless it's necessary. And once you understand it completely, then it is really easy to write programs using nested if statements.